everyone, to episode one of What Sales and Marketing Got to Do with It podcast. My name is Gemma Adair, founder and principal marketing consultant of Riata Consultancy. This podcast aims to delve deep into the minds of sales and marketing industry leaders, uncovering what keeps them up at night, what drives their passion, and how they execute successful strategies in both their personal and professional lives. I am absolutely delighted to welcome my first ever guest, Ekaterina Chizhova. Katie, for short, might I add, who is a content marketing partner at Forrester, a leading technology consulting and research firm. Great to have you, Katie, on this episode.
My pleasure. I'm excited.
Good. Great to have you. Just initially, I'll just ask, please introduce yourself.
Sure. So I'm Ekaterina, or Katie, and as I said, I'm a content marketing partner at Forrester. So what it means is I deal with a lot of content questions with custom content creation, and I have some B2B marketing background, so that helps me to connect the dots between our customer's point of view and maybe Forrester point of view, and maybe make the best out of this combination.
Awesome. It's interesting, right? Because in your bio, what you submitted across, you moved to London actually in 2016. What was that like to move from St. Petersburg to a new country, new scene?
I think, well, basically it all started with the studies, because when I studied, I did quite several semesters abroad. So I studied in Norway, in Austria. I did an internship in Iceland, and that all helped me to form this maybe more holistic point of view across cultures and regions. And at some point then we decided we will move to Germany because my husband is German. So we spent first 2 or 3 years in Frankfurt. So I worked there. That was my first job after studies, actually. And it was in marketing, in B2B marketing and logistics. But after some time there, also with multiple different stations in Germany and abroad, we thought it might be interesting to try something else, something neutral for both of us, So London was a perfect match because, well, language-wise, it was easier for both of us. And I think career-wise, London also offers a lot. So we both felt we have enough opportunities here. And initially, we moved just for 2-3 years, as it always happens. But here we are still. So it's 7 years, and I'm sure there will be quite several more. So
Amazing. And did your marketing journey continue after that point when you came to the UK? Did you try something new and then go back into marketing?
Yeah, so it was kind of a mixture. When I moved in, so similar like now after Brexit, but back then was not probably the case for everyone. So I had to deal with the documents. And at first I got document that is for like a year or so. So you're waiting for this final document, and I had several projects. So I worked on some kind of smaller bits and pieces. Then I worked also in events agency, which was very interesting because it kind of expanded my events marketing knowledge a lot. And then I started already at Trico, and that was always basically wherever I worked, it was always B2B marketing, because I think as I started in it, I felt always motivated and inspired, and there was always so many more options to explore, because in each company, in each industry, it's a bit different. So you are never bored.
Definitely.
And how it continued.
And you mentioned there about working in an agency and then for a company. Do you have a preference? Did you like one or the other, or what's your thoughts?
I think it's interesting because, yeah, it's a bit different vibe, and I think both are great, maybe for different, life stages and different perspectives. So the agency vibe is very dynamic. There are a lot of young people there. It's easy to make friends. It's very close community feeling that you are getting through it, I guess. So as long as you fit in it, it's great. With a corporate, bigger companies, it's slightly different. So it takes time to understand everything. There is probably inevitably a certain level of politics involved sooner or later. But at the same time, they offer you really broad opportunities in terms of maybe also doing something on the international scale. It could be maybe sometimes easier to go through a corporation. So I enjoyed both, I think, but currently I think I'm comfortable, yeah, in a corporate world.
In a corporate world. And you mentioned earlier, you worked and you came from marketing within sort of Germany and, other various countries. Did you see a difference in culture when you came to the kind of UK, but still being in marketing? Did you see that difference there? Was there a difference?
I think to a certain extent, I'm not sure if it's like difference between company cultures necessarily or between countries. Also, probably it's just the different mixture. In London, you work in the UK, but at the same time with many internationals, which was probably to a slightly less extent back then for me personally in Frankfurt. And I found that in the UK, it's easier to maybe get certain things done quickly. So it means you have a bit more responsibility and you can be more proactive, you can change things, and you can show the difference. Maybe it was also because I was a bit more experienced, so it kind of may be a natural progression. A lot obviously depends on your team with whom you're working, and a lot depends on your line manager. I think I'm very lucky with my line managers, in fact, throughout my career, most of the time at least. And yeah, obviously a lot is down to them, to which extent they allow you to develop, to bring up the best in you, and yeah, maybe give you a certain freedom to do things as you believe they should be done. So that was the difference for me. And I appreciated it because that's something I didn't experience to the extent I wanted at the beginning of my career.
Makes sense. And I think we're on the same page there, where you're in a role which you're empowered and equipped to do. I think you get a lot of benefits from being in a role like that, and it allows you to expand on your skills. Because as we both know, working in a marketing role requires a lot from you. So having that kind of it's pays dividends, So in terms of your career, if you look back over your sort of marketing career, and working within the industry, what have you faced any particular sort of challenges, and how have you overcome them?
I think, well, yeah, you can definitely split it into probably several groups. You face certain challenges, I think, in the beginning because you don't know a lot yet. So it takes you time to learn certain things. And I was lucky. I had really great colleagues all the time with me. So someone from my team or from other teams, they were always helpful, willing to give their time, invest in me. So that definitely helps. I think from certain perspective, I don't know if you can relate sometimes, especially in the beginning of your career, you come to a certain place, and especially in the companies where there are a lot of people who are quite elder than you, they treat you as someone maybe less significant, which for one hand is because they have lots of experience and that's understandable. But they kind of sometimes treat you, this other girl from marketing, And yeah, it takes time until people probably change their perception. So at some point they see the results you deliver and they show probably different attitude and they are more respectful. But in general, yeah, I think I was lucky. I never had any dramatic issues or very sad stories. There have been some, yeah, bits and pieces. There are sometimes always conflicts, but it's always part of learning, I guess.
No, that's a very good example. And I can definitely relate to my younger years of being in the profession and kind of working with, more senior sort of marketeers or stakeholders within the business. And I think it's definitely something that you have to navigate and kind of learn.
Yeah.
And different personalities, different things that people can bring to the table, and it's about really kind of growing and learning with them. And I think it's understanding well.
I think sometimes it's not even that people want it on purpose to make you feel uncomfortable. It's just they say something without maybe much thinking. And I think, well, you probably also have examples like this in your career. So I've been told in between of the lines that, oh, well, women obviously do want to have kids more than men, and something like that, That was just, sometimes you're so taken aback because you think, oh, that's like a line from 80s. And you're not prepared
Old
to
school,
face it on your own.
traditional.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily because people want to hurt you or something. They just sometimes on the wave of talking what they believe in, and it's just sometimes, could lead to funny situations, sometimes to maybe also more serious ones. But I was lucky. It was always just some awkward moments.
Definitely. And I think on top of that example as well, there's that kind of education piece. I think there's a lot more
There's a lot
education.
more awareness now.
Exactly.
Also,
and I think there's still a lot more awareness and education sort of still to come, but we're moving in that direction, so which is a great thing.
Absolutely. I think we're
Yeah.
on the right track, and it's nice to see everything that is being done for that. Even if there is still a way to go, we're part of it.
Definitely. So currently with you are, in your personal, professional life, what does a day in the life look like for you?
So it depends slightly. So that's what I like about my job, for example. It's not all the time the same. There is certain maybe routine and certain repetitions, but it could be very different. But so usually if it's my working day, I wake up, I have a little son who is 4, his name is Oscar. And so I spend my morning with him and with my husband, sometimes when he is not too early gone for work. Then I bring Oscar to the nursery, for example, could be me, could be again my husband. And then I work either from home or from office. So I'm a big fan of flexible working, and especially probably as a mother as well. So I would say 2 days a week I try to be in the office, and 3 I work from home. So then I have some calls. It could be customer facing calls. It could be calls with my colleagues. A lot of them are either from sales or from consulting. So for instance, we have a call with a customer, then we have a follow-up. So we decide, okay, what do we do in this particular case? How we prepare the project. Then I can do maybe some slide work. For example, I can do some pricing calculation. Then we have follow-ups. So basically, there are a lot of calls, a lot of communication. I think that's the bright part of my day. And then by the end of the day, I usually pick up my son from the nursery, or I meet him already at home. If, for instance, I'm coming from the office and then my husband picks him up. And then we spend evening together, seeing sometimes some friends in between. And then it's kind of relaxing time in the evening when we can either watch something or read or just chill. So that's probably about our working days.
Nice. And I have to ask, I'm really intrigued. Your dog's name is Yummy?
Yumi, yes.
Yummy.
I have a cat, in fact, and she
That's
is
it,
Yumi.
the cat. Yes.
And she is also a big part of my life. Sometimes you could see her on calls as well, floating around. Yes, she is sometimes supporting me in my corporate life, but she is definitely a big part of our private life as well. So she loves some cuddles, but to a certain extent. And then, she likes her walks around. She's very, very sweet little girl.
Oh, nice. And you talk about sort of personal and your professional life and so on. There's that buzzword work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
How do you create a work-life balance?
I think for me in particular, there are several parts of it. So it's very important, obviously, to have a similar maybe understanding of how life should be with the person you are living with. So my husband helps me a lot. So we try to split things based on who has time, who has availability, and it's roughly kind of similar. So that definitely helps, because then on some days I can go to the office, I can have drinks with my colleagues, I can kind of network, I can enjoy my time out of home. On some days it's vice versa, another way around. So I help him. It's a lot about obviously the work arrangement itself. So I think Forrester is a really great example of an employer where you can arrange things to make it work with regards to your family, or I don't know, to your hobbies or something else, or your health. So that's definitely helpful. So in my team, we have several people with kids, so we all understand each other, even though our kids are probably different life stages. It's still there's still understanding that it's good to have certain flexibility. We have also pets. So there is a guy who has a dog, and for instance, he doesn't want to leave the dog for the whole day alone. And there's also understanding for that. So I think we just try to make sure it works for everyone. And I think that's another important part of it. Basically, you give and get, you just cooperate, you see everything you do as team project. And then there is always a way to organize things, I guess. So that's what helps. But equally, sometimes you feel it's hard because, especially in our case, we don't have families based here. And that makes a big difference, I think, if you have like grandparents next by or someone else who could help. But yeah, it works well, nevertheless.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's when you have family or extended family around, they can support. But it seems like you've got a great sort of balance in between personal, professional, on both your husband and yourself, to kind of get that balance right
Yeah.
as much as possible. Going back to marketing, is there an area of marketing that you like the most, perhaps, and why?
Yeah, well, I really love content marketing, so that's not surprising. I work in this area, and I always enjoyed it, even from the very first, even from internships. There was always something about content that I enjoy doing. It's equally about thinking how to, I don't know, approach marketing strategy from the content perspective, but also about operational content marketing. So from, I don't know, talking to the agencies about the idea, to defining, I don't know, the messaging, to making it look pretty. So everything. I do like also events. So I wouldn't probably want to work full-time in events because it's quite a stressful job sometimes, but I really love the vibe you get there because you get to talk to real people. And I think especially now when a lot of things are remote or hybrid, you appreciate it even more. For example, we met at Rico, and back then, for instance, we had a very big event that took place back then in Amsterdam on a yearly basis. And our team prepared it and was involved to a big extent in making sure that it's going well. And that was one of my best projects of the year. I had a lot of fun organizing it, then welcoming people and connecting people, and then closing it all, wrapping up. Yeah, I think it was lots of fun. So I think, content and events probably the best part of marketing, I believe.
I think they both keep you busy for sure.
Yes, they both keep you busy. They both allow you to talk to very different people, to subject matter experts, to people who organize things, who overlook certain, brand bits and pieces. At the same time, you meet a lot of external people through that as well. So that makes it all very vibrant.
Nice. Is there a part of marketing perhaps that you like the least, or that can challenge you perhaps at the best of times?
I think it's not only in marketing, basically. If you have something very very nitty-gritty that you need to do, I don't know, in a huge Excel file with lots of small bits and pieces. So that's something that is probably not where I get the joy. I can work with numbers and I like that. So if, for instance, you get the Excel sheet and you can analyze it and get some idea based on it, so that's another thing. But if you just need to have, I don't know, repository of something and fill in certain, I don't know, cells all the time. So yeah, that's yeah, that doesn't bring me as much joy. I should say, I should tell. And yeah, I'm lucky, for instance, I don't have anything like that going on right now in my life. So I'm quite happy. I managed to navigate from marketing and focus on the pieces I like, or at least I mostly like.
Nice. No, that's great. That's great. I think, you know, every occupation or career or, you know, job role kind of comes with pros and cons, and
yeah, absolutely.
things you perhaps don't quite like to do, but it comes with the role, because that helps all the other sort of tasks that have to be sort of carried out and things that have to be actioned on. So makes a lot of sense for sure. From your experience, what are the misconceptions do people have about marketing? What is your thoughts on that?
Well, I think one very obvious one is that marketing is just a mere support function. So quite often, especially some parts of business believe that, you know, marketing, okay, well, kind of nice, yeah, guys, that you're there, but honestly, would definitely do well also without you. I saw it happen, but I also saw how it changes. So I saw how marketing could transform, how it could kind of be brought up to light, how it can take a strategic lead in certain businesses, maybe in certain regions, how it can maybe unite other departments around itself. So I think that's really great, because I believe that the idea is not to compete internally, but actually to work together. And there is a lot of competition quite often, especially in those siloed organizations, you know, where, I don't know, sales work on something and they don't even want to involve marketing because they think, oh, it just makes it longer and more complicated. And then marketing prepares some material, but they don't involve sales because, well, they think, well, we're doing something great, a great piece of content, for example, but no one thinks, oh, you need to actually make sure everyone understands how to use it, what's out of it for everyone. So I think that's the usual challenge, and a lot of companies are facing it. But the good thing is, I think with the transformation that businesses are going through, those silos are being eliminated slowly. So that makes it all a little bit easier to then get through, get the overview from the strategic level and then go into the details further down, because that helps, I think, then to put everyone on the same page and then move from there. But yeah, it's kind of easier said than done. Everyone understands you need to work as a team. Everyone knows that's better, but it just doesn't always work like this immediately.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree, and I think it's probably good a good carry on to my next sort of question, which kind of complements the previous question somewhat. I'm a firm believer in marketing and sales alignment within any organization. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, definitely, I believe that's important. In Forrester, we all believe it is important. So Forrester as a brand is a big believer in this as well. We have a lot of services that are targeting particularly this question. And why is it the case? Because indeed, quite often you see those companies where they're great people in every department, but they somehow are simply not aligned together. And that's why sometimes they're just losing on certain opportunities, or they don't manage to become even more efficient. They don't realize their full potential. It's not because it's not there, but it's just because they're not connected in the right way. And I think that, working on it, improving this connection, making it smoother, putting everyone together on one table, kind of maybe literally, sometimes maybe remotely, could change that. And that's definitely a way to go, because by working together, you will understand each other better. Then you can put yourself in someone else's shoes, so you see their position, and you start working not only from your perspective, but general. So you have then a common goal, common priority, and you all work for it. It just takes time, because you need to shift this mindset, but you also need to shift people's attitude, and you also need to make sure that all that is supported by certain processes. You need to shift, I don't know, certain KPIs, for example, because, well, it's what sometimes we see happening. People talk about nice things, but actually on the ground, it simply doesn't work, because people are not incentivized to behave in a certain way. So it's a big shift that you need to do. It's a big transformation, but I'm sure it's worth it. So we see more and more companies going through it. We definitely have some great examples as well on the market. So it's exciting, and it's it's nice to see them happen there.
A lot of great nuggets there, Katie, for sure. And with what you just mentioned there about sort of bringing people together, collaboration, and it's about fostering that collaboration within the workplace and just getting people on board. It's really, really important. Like you said, if it, tying everything together in terms of strategy, goals, and the objectives, you'll get there quicker, right? If everyone's on board with what everyone's trying to achieve. So it's definitely really key within organizations. Everyone likes to get marketing freebies, marketing collateral, things like that. Do you have a favorite sort of freebie that you've perhaps maybe ordered before or gotten from an event?
Yeah,
something like that.
I think I do.
Tell us more. I'd love to hear more. What's your fave?
So, for instance, the one that I still use a lot is it's a special cable that allows you. It has a USB part, so it lets you charge all the different devices, be it Apple or Samsung or something that has different like endings, and that's definitely a very useful bit that I still have, probably even a couple. So that's one of the points that I thought, oh, that was really a good idea. So I think a lot of companies do something very similar these days. And another bit, actually less common probably, and less usual, but also very useful, was a screwdriver. So it was quite small, and it has like several, it looks like a pen, and it has several kind of endings to it, so it can screw different types,
Oh, nice.
those little details. So yeah, I still use it a lot as well, surprisingly, especially, now as I have a child, I have a lot of toys with batteries. So all of a sudden, there was a second life to this thing happening. So these were probably my two favorites. What about, I don't know, what others were so cool, if you have something
you think
like...
you've accumulated quite a few marketing sort of freebies?
Yeah, definitely, because you organize events, so obviously you accumulate stuff, then you go to events where you're invited, so you obviously accumulate as well something. In general, there have been quite several good things. I remember when we were studying the uni, they gave us the travel pillow, like the one
the travel for flights,
the one that you can just kind of pack in a very compact way. So that was really helpful, for example, as well. So probably if I was start thinking, there would be more things coming. But yeah, this is something that I'm using kind of close to every day, so that's why I immediately thought of them.
Nice, because it ranges, right? You get socks, you get USBs, you get chargers, you get travel pillow. That's a new one. I think I haven't come across a travel pillow before, so
that was
that's
helpful.
a great one to have.
Like water bottles, like coffee cups,
coffee cups, thermal kind of.
There's so many interesting options. Also bits and pieces of clothes, especially if the company is organizing something, then usually employees get something afterwards. So t-shirts, some jackets, things like that.
Nice. No, that's great. My next question is, thinking about your sort of marketing career up to date, if someone was to look into sort of going into marketing, what
Mm-hmm.
advice would you give them?
I think, well, first of all, I would say go and try different types, do different internships, probably just to try things. Because if you go to, I don't know, marketing in terms of strategic marketing, it's one thing. If you go to marketing operations, it's something else. If you go to a team that has to take care of leads, it's again something else. You can have also, I don't know, certain analytical bits and pieces to marketing. So I think you can always, almost everyone could find something for themselves there, but it's important to go and try. And given that there are so many companies offering internships, I think it's definitely something to consider. Otherwise, yeah, I think just go out there, be there, experience it yourself. I think maybe agencies or certain consultancies are really good for beginning of the career because you have a lot of projects going at the same time there, or maybe certain graduate programs. I started myself with a graduate program, and that was an amazing boost because um, you're kind of, first of all, there's usually a team of you, so that's amazing emotional connection that you have with those people afterwards. But it's also like the whole set of different activities and professional training and cross-cultural experiences that you are getting through those. So I think, yeah, basically those bits and pieces are something definitely to look into if you're about to start.
Nice, nice. And going back, if you look back on your younger self, what what did you want to do when you were younger?
Like younger, how
Younger,
younger?
probably after school.
Okay. Mm.
What did you envision yourself to kind of get into professional wise?
Well, so I chose marketing back then. So my bachelor
Okay,
studies
perfect.
were already focused on marketing. I naturally, after school, you imagine more like B2C marketing. You don't think about B2B world, or at least I didn't think at 17 about B2B world that much. So yes, and then at some point you get introduced to it, and you have different courses, different professors, so different points of view, and then you start to be interested. Oh, that's interesting. So, for example, I was always good at technical bits and pieces, also at maths, and um, so tech industry was interesting for me. So I wasn't afraid, I don't know, to go into like tech in general because it wasn't something frightening for me. But at the same time, at the very beginning, probably if you would ask me my, I don't know, first year of studies, I would say, oh, I will be working in marketing in, I don't know, some FMCG company. So because it was just much easier to comprehend, and that was something more obvious in your eyes. So I don't know, Procter and Gamble probably. So, or something like that. And I do have a lot of friends who ended up in FMCGs, or not ended up there. That's part of their career. They enjoy it. They have lots of fun. I do have a lot of friends who went for consulting, at least in the beginning of their career. And that's another way of going, I think, through a professional ladder. And that's also definitely great. But yeah, I think this B2B side is a bit of a, it's not a hidden gem, but it's less obvious. But there are really so many things happening, and it gives you so many opportunities to grow, to yeah, develop yourself. That's definitely something I don't regret. So I wouldn't change that in those terms.
Nice. I can see how it just kind of lights you up, which is great when you talk about, marketing in general, but B2B and your experiences and so on.
Yeah.
Have any of your sort of friends, like close sort of network, sort of come over to London or from?
Mm-hmm. I think I have a lot of people whom I got to know in London, but that's
Yeah,
something different, obviously. There are quite several guys from my uni, so we have a Telegram chat, like a GSOM family in London, and
nice.
when we write messages, quite often we actually say, "Hey, family." So even though like a lot of those people are from different years, different programs, so you don't know each other that much, but it's kind of a small hub where you can just get some help if you need, get some advice. Yeah, there are also some meetings. I'm not good at physical meetings probably, but yeah, so there is definitely quite a lot of people from the same studies who are in London also. Some from the exchange students or some from the unis I went as an exchange. So there are several guys here. You don't always necessarily keep in touch in terms of meeting each month, but every now and then, maybe a couple of times per year, yes, and that's nice. A lot of people also kind of who we met in London, they left London because they also thought, oh, it's nice to try something different. We have a couple of friends from Denmark who came back to Denmark. We have actually UK guys who went to Abu Dhabi, also our very good friends. And it's amazing to see how it's easy now. Well, relatively easy, right? If you think about it, I don't know, probably I don't know, 100 years ago, you didn't need any passports at all, of visas, I suppose. I'm not sure. Now it's obviously a bit more complex, but it's still possible how you can go to some other place, work there, get some experience, try something different. Even within Europe, the cultures are quite different. If you go out of Europe, it's even more impressive how people approach different things and how they behave, what's the norm. I think that's the beauty of working maybe also in international organizations again, because that helps grasp this different perception of the world, and that's the beauty of it.
I think it's amazing. You talked about sort of cultures there. It's just amazing how, like you said, a lot of companies offer you that, working with different cultures, different languages. It just enriches your work and your personal life as well with that.
Yeah.
To work with various different people. So it's great. It's great. Great opportunity. Is there someone, actually, what is your passion in life and what drives you?
I think generally, well, it's probably hard to say what drives me. I think probably communicating with people. So I get my energy through it. I can also get tired, and sometimes I think, okay, no more communication, but in general, I enjoy it. So when I go to the office, it's not because I don't know, want to have a certain environment or something. It's because I want to meet people. I want to go for lunch. I want to go for ice cream or something together. I want to chat. So because that gives me some ideas, some inspiration. You share stories. That's great. And the same in private life as well. So I have my set of friends, and we call each other, we write each other, we leave voice messages to each other, and that definitely gives me a lot of energy and support as well throughout my life. So I know that whatever happens, I can go to my friends, and they would always give me, I don't know, some time and love and care. And that's amazing.
No, that's wonderful. Is there someone that inspires you, whether dead or alive? And who is that?
I think that my inspiration mostly comes from people around, because, well, when you have sometimes some stories, they also could be very inspirational. There are lots of I don't know, sportsmen who are so great, and their journeys are definitely not very easy, and how they manage to reach something. Or there are a lot of I don't know, historical figures from whom you can take also certain inspiration. But I think there are a lot of people among us who are also like that, and their example is always more relatable because you meet them at work or in your private life. So for example, when I started in Norway, there was a girl who was a few years elder. And to me back then, I was 19. I was an exchange student, and she was also in exchange. We both went for masters there. And she just was so much more obviously knowledgeable, because, 19 and 22 is a big difference. At a certain age, definitely makes a difference. And I was amazed. She knew so much. She tried so many more things than I did by then. because yeah, these 3 years were really important. So I definitely got certain inspiration from her, the way she looked at certain things. Well, for instance, when we worked in Rico, you probably remember Carolina, and she is also very inspirational because she is this woman with lots of power, like energy, in terms of like, she is, I think if she wants something really, really, really a lot, she would definitely reach it.
Yeah.
So because sometimes I have these moments when I think, oh, can I do that? Isn't it like, so I have these reflection moments, or imposter syndrome sometimes. And she's definitely the person who comes to you exactly like she feels when you need it. And she comes and says, you can do it. You deserve it. You should definitely, I don't know, do this, and that. Have you thought about, I don't know, doing more activities on LinkedIn profile? You should tell everyone about that. And also mention this. So, and you think afterwards, oh yeah, actually I'm great, so, and we need more people like this in our lives, just to remind ourselves sometimes that actually, yeah, we are great. So yeah, there are a lot of inspirational people around us, I think, and that is definitely making it in a way easier and also more interesting.
That's awesome. And Carolina definitely is one of those individuals. I think she definitely leaves an imprint on you,
Yeah,
from
exactly.
being
Basically,
around
never forget
her,
her.
working with
Absolutely.
her, energy, that kind of thing. And I think it's great that you can kind of pull on that kind of power, if you want to call it, or the kind of, like you said, to reflect on a situation when she said to you, no, you can do it. And I think it's nice that you can kind of go back to that
Yeah.
and then get the power from that. It's
Yeah,
so
for
powerful
sure.
in itself, yeah, for sure. And she's going to be coming up in a series, hopefully sometime soon. So that would be
I will
great.
definitely listen to that podcast because I'm
That'd
sure
be
it will
great.
be quite something.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
awesome, awesome, awesome. No, thank you for that. That's really powerful. And when you can pull people from your journey, and give them that kudos,
Yeah.
from past and present. So it's great. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time, for example?
That's a good question. Life shows us that sometimes it's quite unpredictable, but I guess I think I would probably still in London. I would still be mom, and my husband would be still there. And in terms of private life, I don't think much more would change. It's just our son would grow, and there would be more and more fun things we can do together. So I'm looking forward to that. In terms of professional life, I definitely think I will stay in marketing. I mean, it's hard to say if it would be Forrester or something else, but I definitely want to be part of my marketing journey further on. Could be maybe back to some company, to some corporate world, where there would be marketing department. Could be maybe something in Forrester, because there's so many different bits and pieces to it. There is always something new
Yeah,
and interesting you can find. So let's see. And I'm sure there would be quite some change, obviously, with all the new trends coming up with AI, with
definitely. Yeah.
AI, which definitely would disrupt the content industry. It's already is influencing it. There are a lot of things that are there are still to answer about security. I don't know about the rights and so on and so forth, but it would definitely change the way we work. So it's very hard to say, but in 5 years, there could be some new roles appearing that we don't know now about, or it's hard to imagine what exactly those would look like. So there could be some opportunities there as well, for example. Let's see.
Let's see. Marketing is forever evolving, with AI, and yeah, it's definitely there's a lot to come from the space for sure.
Yeah,
And a lot more options, right? And like you said, you can venture into different areas. Which, yeah, never a dull moment in marketing for sure.
absolutely. Yeah. So that's the
Yeah,
cool part about it. You can always find
definitely.
something else you want to improve or work on.
Definitely, definitely. Next question to you is, if you had a chance to be a superhero,
Mm.
Who would you be and why?
I think there are several parts to it. I think it would be definitely cool sometimes to be able to become invisible. Because well, that
Interesting.
just could be fun sometimes, I think. You can also get to know a lot of I don't know, useful ideas, maybe just walking next to people without them knowing about it. So maybe something around that. But otherwise, it would be nice maybe sometimes to stop the time, just to freeze a moment, so that everyone is kind of static and you can still move and do things, and maybe fit few more activities in your everyday life, because sometimes you think, oh, the day is over already, and then there's another, and yeah, time goes very quickly if you have a lot of things to focus on. So sometimes I think, oh, I wish I could kind of make certain pauses just for myself so I can, pick things up around.
I think
Probably that's the superpowers I would like to have.
nice. No, I think they're very relevant superpowers for sure. Especially the invisible one. I do like that one. that would work really well.
Yeah, exactly. Also just for fun,
Yeah. Perhaps be invisible and kind of like tap someone on the shoulder and they look around. It's like, hold on, who's here?
Yeah, exactly. So disrupt
Definitely.
the day.
Yeah, definitely. You're a person that believes in, kindness, emotional well-being, independence. Is there anything else that you would like to add to that?
I think yeah, you summarized it well. It's important, I think, in our world not to forget, because we have all this kind of actions and tasks and objectives, also in personal life. It's important sometimes actually to reflect where I am, how do I feel.
Yeah.
So there had been a lot of talk about well-being, about mental health. There have been a lot of actions taken by companies to raise the awareness how important it is. And I think that's definitely the way to go, because life can be sometimes quite stressful, and also life and business could be
Definitely.
quite stressful, I think, in the society in general, and maybe Western world. There is a lot of stress every now and then at different stages of life. I see, also school kids, how stressed they're here to pass A levels. I'm not sure if that's the best way to get them, through life, get them ready for the uni, because by the time they're finally somewhere, I think they just don't have capacity to actually, be happy about it. They're just very tired. So I think, yeah, it would be really nice to probably kind of adjust the way we live so that we can balance it a bit better. Again, that's probably a change that takes time, but I think we're on the right track, and you can see slowly things changing, and people choosing not maybe necessarily success on paper, but actually more something that is happiness, so that's definitely something that is important. Would be great if people could actually focus on those things, and not forget that it's the most important part of life is actually to enjoy it.
That, yeah, definitely. And I think it's going back to, collaboration, community, sort of well-being really fits into that, because it's having that support system, both personally and in the workplace, whether it's someone or people that you can turn to
Yeah.
kind of share and kind of, be open and transparent with, and for an environment to be that way, so you can open and be transparent and share those experiences. And I think to your point, stress is, it's across the spectrum, right? It's
Yeah.
to older professionals. It sort of spans across everybody, regardless of who they are, where they're from. And I think, it's very important to have that kind of support system in place.
Yeah, exactly. We probably wouldn't be able to eliminate stress as such, obviously, at all. But a lot of, I think a lot of moments when we're nervous or anxious are avoidable. And if everyone would understand the importance of it, then our lives would definitely be much better. So just hope that we can still see it, in our lifetime, how it definitely changes and progresses to the better state.
Definitely. Well, Katie, thank you so much for being the first.
That's my pleasure.
For this podcast. I definitely think, I loved, and I'm sure the listeners will love hearing about your experiences. And I think you shared a lot of great nuggets on this podcast that people can take with them and implement and kind of just really think about in their sort of both personal and professional lives. I think you've definitely given your perspective on things. Do you have any final words you would like to share to conclude?
Probably, I don't know, nothing special, but if someone wants to connect, I'm always happy to chat on LinkedIn or for a cup of coffee in London somewhere. Yeah, definitely that. And it would be lovely to see you face to face as well sometimes. So I wish you good luck with the podcast. It's a brilliant project, and I'm very flattered that I was able to kickstart it with you. And I'm looking forward to the next ones.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and it's definitely not goodbye. It's what next, and yeah. I'll keep you to that coffee.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a nice one. Bye-bye.